Fonda. She is one of South Africa's well-known bloggers, and she has the blog Cape Town Girl. She's also won numerous awards, generally regarded as the Queen of Twitter, is what I'm told. So we are very lucky and to have her here, and very excited to have her come and talk to us about social media and how it can be used by NGOs to better the communication that we undertake, and how we can link up with different social movements and what to do and what not to do when it comes to marketing a campaign. Followed by that, we'll have Zaki speaking for about 5 to 10 minutes. So it's half an hour by Alex, and then
hopefully shorter.
Maybe a little bit shorter, and then then Zaki for 5 to 10 minutes, and he'll be speaking about the Arab Spring in Tahrir Square and how social media has impacted on revolution. So once we've done that, then we'll open up to the floor, and we hopefully we'll stimulate the debate. Cool. Welcome.
So talk is tonight.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about my background because the blog is relevant to whatever else. But my real background is marketing. I studied copywriting for advertising at the Red School, and I ended up going into traditional advertising at an agency called King James. The kind of clients we've worked on, just to give you a background, are Johnny Walker, Alan Gray, Levi's Jeans, Kalula. So that's been my main job for the last 8 years of my life, and that's really where I come at social media from, is a marketing angle. And I said to Greg when he asked me to speak today, I thought what a nice thing would be to talk about was packaging your ideas for social media and packaging all ideas, in fact, for mass consumption, because I think that's, look, I work in marketing and I work in advertising, and a lot of the time I realize what we do is fluff. You know, we sell things that people don't need a lot of the time, but I think what you guys do is pretty important. But I think that sometimes the packaging of the ideas lets it down, and it makes it maybe not as accessible to the public as it could be. So what I did, it's very chill. Please just stop me and ask questions, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, please stop me as well. But I asked Twitter today to give me examples of NGOs they thought they were doing a good job in the online space, so I compiled those, and I'm going to talk very briefly about them. And then the other thing I want to talk about is Kony 2012, because so far that's been the biggest viral explosion ever in the history of the internet, and it's a social cause. And as someone from a branding background where we have millions and millions at our disposal to create these kinds of viral explosions, we've never been able to do it on this scale. So it is currently being looked at as an amazing case study. Okay, who here is on Facebook? Okay, and then Twitter? Okay, okay, so most of you are online, and right now there's this race to kind of create content online because everybody's woken up to the fact that it's really useful and really powerful to spread ideas and to reach people. And I think a lot of people are going about it in the wrong way. You know, we hire these kind of social media gurus, and we hire expensive technology, digital agencies. I'm not talking about you. Guys, your social media is amazing. It's done really well, and your website's optimized and looks great. So I can't really tell you anything like that. But there is this crazy race to kind of go big and be big online. And you know, I see a lot of stuff like this. Like someone will start a blog or they'll start a website. They put 1 million buttons all over it. They'll start a Twitter account. They'll start a Foursquare. They start everything they can because they try to basically what I call colonize the web. So if you search within any strange program, you'll somehow come to this person's website or this course's website. And it's really all it's doing is cluttering stuff up, and I think it's diluting the message a lot of the time. So this to me isn't social media. And the self-promotion stuff as well, continually pushing your content in the face of people that may not want it. That's not social media for me. The Oatmeal is a webcomic, and he goes viral on a regular basis because His work is funny because it's true.
Can you explain what going viral means?
Okay, going viral. It's when your idea is good enough for millions and millions of people to share it around the world, so the idea itself becomes contagious, like a virus. So, good examples of this would be, who's familiar with the Coney 2012 work? Okay. So, I mean, that's a really great example of something. I think it started on a Sunday night, and it peaked by the following Friday, and then by Sunday everyone had decided it was a load of nonsense. But the point is, it took 5 days. Within 5 days, they raised something like 53 million rand. It got 36 million views within 5 days as well. It's now on 85.5 million views. So that's like the best case scenario if you look at its positive sides. Now, what a lot of people do in the social sphere is they've got a cause and they've got an idea and they want to get it out there. So what they do is they scam people, and they become like, you become like a walking bad advert. And a lot of people write on their friends' walls and they send emails and they say stuff like, hey, like my page, I just started this thing, will you vote for me? Hey, this is such a great cause, how can you ignore the fact that 20,000 rhinos are getting their horns chopped off every day? If you do ignore it, you're a bad person, you know? And the oatmeal here in this comic, he says you don't walk around in real life talking like that. You don't go like, hey, listen, man, I'm really cool. Will you just like tell people you like me so that more people like me so I can be cool, you know? And like I always say, cool is as cool does. So if what you're doing has integrity, it will be picked up on naturally. You shouldn't strive to package yourself as something or an idea as something that's not. And things that do go viral or get this mass traction online are things that are always hilarious, sad, beautiful, or inspiring. And again, I'm in the marketing side of that. We know very well that people respond very badly to negative messaging. They respond very badly to being guilt-tripped. And what they do respond to, though, is hope and to, something that speaks to the better person within them. And I think that that's something always to bear in mind when you do want people to pick up on your idea and you want your cause to matter to people, is to appeal to the good in them rather than, walk around like a spam bot annoying people, actually. I'm just going to take you through a few things online that people recommend to me. This is Wake Up Call. And it has a Coney-esque, this is the revolution vibe about it, but it's an international site where you can submit a wake-up call to a country and its leaders, and along with other people, you can, other people who are interested in your cause, you can gain traction and you can put plans in place to make it happen. This is a little map a big map of all the wake-up calls that they've done so far. And then on that day, the 21st or the 2nd, 2012, which was in February, was the one big day that they did the action that they said they would do. So what it does, what a website like this does, is it makes, another problem people have with social issues is that they don't know how to get involved, they don't know what to do. And I think what these sites are doing well is they're giving people an easy way to get involved. So this site goes join, look for an event that's happening in your part of the world, click on the Facebook URL, join it, stay up to date with it, and then take part in it. So they make it really, really easy for you. This is an NGO called To Write Love on Her Arms. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's an Australian NGO, and they are an anti-depression and suicide organisation. And they've got a main website, and they've got a Facebook presence and everything else, and they talk about the fact that they would rather young people come to them instead of do drastic things if they're not in a good space in their lives. And of course it was all inspired by a real story. But then what they've done is they've created this thing called Fear-Verse Dreams, where they go around documenting, they encourage other people to submit their fears, which are very often their dreams. Like, this guy's not a great example, but this girl's fear and her dream is she wants to make a living from singing, but she's always too scared to. Another dream is I'm so scared that when the time comes for me to do something meaningful, I won't do it. So These guys do it really well. They also acquired Conies. They've got an entire shop. So if you cannot actually get involved with the campaign, at least you can buy shirts and that can help. I'll speak a little more about this buying thing a bit later. Give and Gain. This is a kind of like Facebook for activists. So you can find a cause that works, that you believe in, and you can find other activists, and you can join existing activities that work for causes. So this is their main site. These are a bunch of causes that are happening. So there's a rhinos cause happening. There's a pediatric cardiac foundation. So you can browse through the causes, the categories. You can go through they've got little thumbnails on the right, it's very easy to navigate. And then you can go to the activists and you can become friends with them. So you find like-minded people. This is a great site actually. It's got, so that's a great, I really recommend going to check it out for how they've designed it and the ease of use. And then yeah, I'm going to talk about Coney. I don't know who's watched the Coney video. Okay, so much to say. The guy, Jason Russell, who created the Coney 2012 movement, if you do a bit of research on him, you'll see that he's an activist, but he's also a performer and a creative and a storyteller and an artist and a director. And if you go through the other videos on the Invisible Children site, you'll see that some of them are pretty out there. There's one where he and his friends are doing a full-on Grease performance in the aid of some organizational cause, and it heavily features him. Okay? Now that's fine, but I think what it does tell us is that he is an entertainer first and foremost, and I think that really worked in his advantage when it came to spreading his Get Rid of Joseph Coney message. The video opens with this: nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come, which is absolutely 100% true. But it really sets the stage for the idea that his message is somehow extremely relevant, you know. And just taking a step back out of activism world and into brand world, where we're all competing for the same attention now. Brands compete for the same attention. Magazines compete for then compete for the attention of movie stars and books and writers. Everyone now competes for the same attention, and everyone has to kind of create content. So who's going to win in this race? It's going to be the guys who understand how to put on a good show. And while this might sound a little bit shallow, I really do think it is important. So Coney then started this show, and the first thing Jason Russell did was he created this villain, who was Joseph Coney. Now, he's been on this course for a long, long time, and it started with a lot of integrity. You know, I'm not questioning the cause at all, but by the time this became mainstream, Joseph Coney had left Uganda in 2006. The Lord's Resistant Army, which is what this entire video is about, defeating, was disbanded years ago as well. So effectively, this massive message came out to defeat someone who was already defeated. He was gone, it was finished. But they didn't stop Jason Russell, so he created this villain, Joseph Coney, and he created a mission. Now there's this whole big trend in business which is called gamifying, and it's everywhere. We're seeing it in marketing, we're seeing it in product design, even banks are using it when they design their programs. And basically what it means is creating a game out of a required interaction. So instead of saying, hey, Joseph Coney's bad, we should stop him, he created a villain, he created a mission, he gave you the tools, and then he created a little world within which to go play. This gamifying thing is amazingly interesting, and there's a place in America called the Institute of Play, and what they do is study game tactics. And the reason it's become so big is that almost 50% of Americans spend a lot of time playing games. So they will work a 9-to-5 job, and then they'll come home and spend almost 2 to 4 hours every night playing games. And I don't mean games like Angry Bird or Mario Brothers, like really, really complicated games. So they'll play World of Warcraft, or they'll play Eve. And these are games where you have to understand and strategize and think of a whole new world. And And these guys have been thinking, why do people spend so much energy doing this? And mostly it's because in our real lives, where we face real challenges, we don't get the reward of 50,000 points, and we don't get the secret mushroom that comes out of the cave, and we don't get these rewards that games give us. So now that people are starting to build game elements into everything, last year I worked on a product for a financial services product. Actually, you give it your banking details and what it does. Okay, that's 5 minutes.
That sounds good.
But
Funny that I did it.
yeah, but you sign over your banking details, and they find a way to make saving and not spending money frivolously fun. So, so there's a lot of investment in this, and Jason Russell happened to do it kind of incidentally. His mission, right, was to make Joseph Kony famous. Now, if you watch the Jason Russell documentary or this Stop Kony, he uses his son a lot in the video, and the son is so cute, you know, he's this little kid, and he's innocent, and he doesn't understand, and Jason says to his son, why can't we stop him? What's the problem? And the son says, I don't know. So he says, the problem is he's not famous. No one knows who he is. And then this huge dramatic flag wipes on screen and says, you will make him famous. So his call to action was then make Joseph Kony so famous. And by making him famous, everyone will know him and hate him and bring him down, even though he's really down, but hey. So that mission though was easy to understand, and people could get behind it, and they could do it by clicking a button. They didn't really. He says no, go print out papers and wallpaper the streets and whatever else. But you didn't have to go that far. You could literally just click a button, and it felt like you were doing something good for the children whom Joseph Kony was abusing and using as soldiers and sex slaves. The other thing that is worth looking at in the Kony video is that its production values are amazing. You know, he uses a proper storytelling format where there's suspense, there's a pivotal action, and then there's a plot development, and then there's resolution at the end. He uses familiar imagery. He uses the widescreens we all know and love. He uses the crowd pans, and this is important because from working in marketing, from working in advertising, and as someone who continually has to come up with new ideas, I don't believe people can process new ideas. I don't think that people can completely take a new idea and accept it. So what I call it, you have to kind of make a sandwich where you take things that people are used to seeing and you coat it. So you take your first layer of bread, which people are used to. Your filling can be a new idea, but you've got to close it again with bread because, you know, a completely new idea is unreferenceable for most people. And he did this very well. If you look at it, it feels like you've seen it before. It feels like it could be, you know, a Team America, or it could be Armageddon, or it could be any one of these movies that we've all seen so many times before. So we accept it. You know, we go, well, yeah, there is a bad guy, and we do have to kill him. We have to defeat him. So, yeah, we need a montage. Team America is a great film by the creators of South Park, who are satirists on American culture. And they did this song in Team America called We Need a Montage, which was all about how cliched in every great American film or movie or series, there's this emotional montage where we overlay pictures of people doing emotional, dramatic things, and we have a great soundtrack, and you know, afterwards we feel like we've connected with that, and it's real, and it's just so awesome, you know? It almost doesn't mean anything. But he has 3 montages through his movie, and they work. Online, from a marketing point of view, the way we look, in traditional advertising, if we want to get an idea of a campaign out, we look at a campaign that's finite. So we go, right, this year's campaign is all about saving the dolphins, or the fact that Nike shoes are the lightest shoes in the world. And we'll work to that, and it will have a beginning and an end, and it's closed. But what online has done is it makes us think kind of in perpetuity. There's no end to it. So now what we approach it in a very different way. It almost becomes like telling a story, and you know, what's the next chapter, what's the development. I think your storytellers will become more and more important, because no longer, you know, is it bang in with an idea and out again. What happens next? What happens next? So he tells this amazing story as well, using all these images. And I mean, if you look at the content, like if you go and you actually study all that content, it's not that meaningful. It's maybe a picture of a poster, it's a picture of a bunch of kids, it's an emotional picture of graffiti, whatever else. None of these things are terribly meaningful, but when seen in mass and all together and it never ends, it feels like this huge movement, you know, it feels like something big and amazing, and it's really not easy to kind of create that effect for your own purposes. We do this a lot in traditional marketing. You know, if you can influence an influencer who already has influenced themselves, you can kind of cut your job in half. So this is employed quite a lot in word of mouth marketing, where products are seeded or services are seeded, where you'll identify celebrities and you'll give them a product for free, because the thinking is that if they're seen wearing it or using it, it will then sell. And this does work. So what Kony 2012 did as well is they put all this pressure on high-profile people. And they set up a website where you could message Oprah Winfrey, and you could message Angelina Jolie, and you could message all these people. And what this website did is it tweeted at these celebrities over and over and over and over. And then what these celebrities did is, because you know every celebrity wants to be seen as important and as in touch with the world, and you know nobody these days wants to be seen as being not conscious of problems. Is that they picked up on it and they used it as their own kind of propaganda. It became a part of their own brand. And Angelina Jolie said very, you know, with a lot of authority that well, anyone who knows anything or has ever been to Africa knows that Joseph Kony is one dead. Not still bearing in mind the fact that he's 8 years out of the country and whatever else, but no, she knew all about it. And George Clooney, he knew all about it as well. And you know, what he really wanted, he said in his interview, was for Joseph Kony to enjoy the same amount of celebrity as him. That's what he really wanted. I promise you George Clooney hadn't thought about Joseph Kony before he was tweeted at 100 million times. But these guys did half the job for the campaign. And once the celebrities got on board, then it really just tipped and snowballed and snowballed. Okay, that's the action kit. So if you wanted to be part of the Kony campaign, you paid $15, I think, and you got a box with a poster, 2 bangles, one for you, one for a friend. There was a very motive shot where you together, and you got stickers, so you could go and be a mini activist and go and spread your own message. This I don't think is a bad thing. We are trained to buy stuff, and if we're trained to buy stuff, then let's work with people like that. You know, if people feel better about getting involved with something by giving you money and getting something in return, then use that as an insight. Yeah, Kony raised $5 million in 48 hours on these little kits, you know, which is crazy. But it's easy for people to understand the transaction of giving money and getting something in return, even if that thing is a piece of paper. You know, people feel better, they can hold it, they can own it, they understand the idea a lot more. When it comes to marketing, in a very traditional sense, a lot of the products we have to market don't really do anything. You know, especially if it's alcohol, especially if it's shoes. There are a million shoe brands out there. There are a million alcoholic drinks. So what we end up doing is we create opinions people can buy, and someone who drinks Johnny Walker Black is saying something very definite about themselves as opposed to someone who drinks Savannah, you know? So people are used to that and they're okay with it. So I think that's something you can definitely use going forward, you know, let people buy something and be a part of it. And, yeah. I just spoke about packaging the opinion, you know, branding the dream. That image at the end there was part of, with the little boy and his parents, was part of the Stop Kony 2012 dream. So they were going to reunite all these children that had been taken by Joseph Kony with their parents. This is a very emotive image, and it was then preceded by that Kony captured, and there was another dramatic shot of people changing the world. This stuff is cliched, it's probably not even true. That shot over there, I'm sure, was staged, you know. In fact, almost all the stuff in there is staged. I doubt it was stuff taken from real rallies. And whilst maybe not ethical, there isn't anything actually wrong with it if it's really going to bring your point across either. It's going to tug at the heartstrings and it's going to help people imagine your end goal. So, yeah, package the dream. Package it in a way that it's relevant to people who you want to target and who you want to get on board. Isn't that just the most classic piece of modern propaganda you've ever seen in your life? The world agrees Coney is the worst. It's just a made-up newspaper headline. In our world, you cannot have multiple messaging if you're selling a product or a brand. You're always forced to have one idea, and you must carry that through in everything you do, from the packaging of your product to the billboard to the design of the print ad. You cannot have a million messages. You cannot have a million goals. You cannot say, we are Nike, and we make shoes, and we make this, and we make that, and we make that, and we want the world to be great, and we do this, and we do that. You have one message, and slowly, you can start branching out. I don't know if it works in an NGO sense. There's a lot of kind of back and forth on whether Stop Coney was relevant, but there's more to Joseph Coney than just a man who came out of nowhere flinging guns and stealing children. There's a lot more history to that country. There's 20 years of conflict in the country. He arose because of unjust things that were being done to his people in the first sense. So you can't just simplify it too much. So that's something I warn against. I don't know if it worked in this instance. And that's Jason Russell's son that he keeps looking back to throughout the campaign to really, position himself as a dad who really cares about his son, because that's why he's doing this.